Okay, this is section 10.2, and we're going to be multiplying polynomials. We're also going to be doing 10.3 in this lesson, and we're going to be looking at some special products as well. Well, first of all, we need to talk about how we find the product. Well, product just means to multiply. So what we're really doing when we find the product of polynomials, we're just distributing each term to the other polynomial. So guess what? We already know how to distribute. We're not doing anything new. Okay, so on this one, we're going to find the product and we're going to place our answer in standard form. Now remember, standard form means it's going to be highest exponent down to the lowest exponent. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this x to the first number in my second binomial. So I have a binomial times a binomial. So that gives me x squared. Now I'm going to distribute it to the second number, my binomial. X times negative 4 gives me negative 4x. Now I'm going to distribute my second number. Negative 3 times x gives me negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 4 gives me a positive 12. I'm going to go through, I'm going to combine my like terms. Notice that negative 4x and negative 3x are like terms. So my final answer is x squared. Negative 4x minus 3x gives me negative 7x plus 12. Let's look at the next one. We're going to do the same thing. 3x times x. Well, that's 3x squared. 3x times 5. It's a positive 15x. 4 times x gives me a positive 4x. And 4 times 5 gives me a positive 20. I'm going to go through, combine any like terms that I have. Positive 15x and 4x. What does that give me? 19x. So my final answer is 3x squared plus 19x plus 20. Okay, now you do this next one. You have 3x minus 4 times 2x plus 1. Go ahead and pause and then come back and check your answer. Okay, you ready? So your answer for this last one should be 6x squared minus 5x minus 4. Now sometimes you're going to find yourself multiplying a binomial times a trinomial, or even a trinomial times a trinomial. The process is going to be exactly the same. You're just going to need to make sure you distribute each term to the other polynomial. Now the first thing we need to do, we're just going to distribute 2x to x squared. Now that's going to give me 2x cubed. 2x times 3x is going to give me a positive 6x squared. 2x times 8 is going to give me a positive 16x. Now I'm going to do my other term. 3 times x squared is going to give me 3x squared. Now this one's a little bit bigger, so I'm going to line mine up using the vertical method. But you can use the horizontal method if you would like. 3 times 3x gives me a positive 9x, and 3 times 8 gives me a positive 24. I'm just going to go through, combine my terms. So I end up with 2x cubed plus 6 plus 3 is 9, x squared plus, see, 16x plus 9x gives me 25x plus 24. And this is my final answer. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing once again. But I want you to notice first, I have a binomial times a trinomial again. But in the trinomial, is it in standard form? No, it's not. My work is going to be a lot easier if I start out with both of these in standard form. So I have x minus 2 that I'm going to bring down. I'm just going to move this one around. So I'm going to have negative x squared first, plus 3x, plus 5. Now I'm going to go through and distribute. So I have x times negative x squared. It's going to give me negative x cubed. X times 3x is going to give me positive 3x squared. And x times 5 is going to give me a positive 5x. Negative 2 times negative x squared is going to give me a positive 2x squared, because a negative times a negative gives you a positive. Negative 2 times positive 3x gives me a negative 6x. Negative 2 times positive 5 gives me a negative 10. Now I'm going to go through and combine my terms. So I have negative x cubed. 3x squared combined with positive 2x squared gives me a positive 5x squared. 5x combined with a negative 6x gives me a negative x minus 10. And this is my final solution. Okay, now let's look at these. These are going to be a little bit special. You're going to have the opportunity to notice a pattern. And if you don't notice a pattern, it'll be okay. You can always distribute the terms and find the product without knowing the pattern. But if you learn the pattern, it'll be a little easier. So this one's called a difference of squares. I have x plus 2 and x minus 2. Oh, I have x minus 4, x plus 4. Notice they're the same. The only thing that's different is one has a plus, one has a minus. So as we distribute, I get x squared. Let me move that down a little bit. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. 2 times x gives me a positive 2x. 2 times 2 gives me negative 4. Going to go in and combine my terms. Negative 2x plus 2x, well, that adds up to 0, so that's gone. Oh, that's x squared minus 4. Let's see what happens over here. X times x. Well, that's x squared. X times 4 plus 4x. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. Now let's go combine those like terms. Positive 4x minus 4x. Well, that adds up to 0. My answer is x squared minus 16. So I'm curious if you see a pattern with either of these. Now let's do another one. This time we're going to do a square of a binomial. One thing you've got to be careful on this, I've got x plus 3 squared. That means that I have x plus 3 times x plus 3. Now what's x times x? X squared. What's x times 3? positive 3x. 3 times x is a positive 3x. And 3 times 3 gives me a positive 9. I'm going to go in, combine my like terms. See, 3x combined with 3x is going to give me 6x. So x squared plus 6x plus 9. Now 3x squared plus 2, that means I have 3x plus 2 times 3x plus 2. Most common mistake is people forget that that's what that means. So be really careful with that. 3x times 3x gives me 9x squared. 3x times 2 gives me positive 6x. 2 times 3x gives me a positive 6x, and 2 times 2 gives me a positive 4. Going to go through, combine my like terms. Positive 6x plus 6x gives me 12x. So my answer is 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. Last one. Now we're going to find the product. We've got a square of a binomial again, except this time we have minus. Going to work exactly the same way. I have x minus 3 times x minus 3. So x times x gives me x squared. X times negative 3 gives me negative 3x. Negative 3 times x gives me negative 3x again. And negative 3 times negative 3 gives me a positive 9. I'm going to combine my like terms. Negative 3x minus 3x gives me negative 6x. Oh, so I have x squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay, I want you to do the last one, so go ahead and hit pause. And when you finish, I'll have the answer for you. Okay, so 2x minus 5 squared. When we find the product, that gives you 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. Okay, that's it. Have a great rest of the afternoon.